physicist Nassim Haramein has spent most of his life researching the geometry of hyperspace, theoretical physics, cosmology, quantum mechanics, biology, chemistry. Sounds like a song, doesn't it? As well as anthropology and ancient civilizations. Combining the knowledge with a keen observation of the behavior of nature, he discovered a specific geometric array that he found to be the fundamental to creation, and the foundation for his unified theory has emerged. And Mr. Haramein founded a not-for-profit organization called the Resonance Project, where, as the director of research, he continues exploring unification principles and their implications in our world today. And we're going to talk with him about many of these subjects tonight on Coast to Coast. Nassim, welcome back, my friend. How are you?
Oh, it's great to be on the show again. I've been good.
I have been flooded with emails since you were with me in August of last year. I mean, they continue to roll in.
I'm glad. People are very interested, and it's very exciting to see, so much people with good ideas and people thinking for themselves.
Absolutely. Tell me about this internet buzz. What's going on here? What have you said about it specifically? I mean, they're running all over the place saying that there's a UFO going around the sun. I want to get your take on this.
Well, it's been a long journey for me to, of observing the sun. It started really when I was doing a lot of studying of ancient civilization.
Mm-hmm.
I found that, all these civilizations around the world were talking about sun gods and talking about them in terms of, using the sun in some kind of Stargate or in some kind of way of traveling through the universe in many different cultures around the world. And they're very similar stories, and they're very coherent, and they seem to describe a very specific way the universe works and a very specific way we can travel in it. And so, I started to pay more and more attention to the sun. And in 1998, I came across a video that came from the Soho probe where there was two objects that seemed to be solar-gazing comets that seemed to crash into the sun. And I analyzed the video carefully and found that there was some anomaly in the movements of those comets along their path towards the sun. And then as well, they didn't have tails that seemed to be long enough for the comet's size they were, and so on.
Yeah.
And so I started to really pay attention to a lot of the information that's available to us from the Soho probes and various other telescopes. And as I did that, I realized that I wasn't the only one that was paying attention to the sun. And it turned out that it seemed like a very large institution, one of the wealthiest and most powerful institutions on our planet, the Vatican, was actually spending a lot of time and a lot of energy looking at our sun itself.
They have been all over the map, haven't they?
They have. And, so in 1998, I started to publicly talk about this. I showed the videos in my seminars, and I talked to people about it, and I talked to various experts about it, and I got information from insiders inside JPL and others. And, I found very, very interesting data that seemed to show that there is activity around the sun that cannot be easily explained by conventional means. And, this is a question of opinion, and, it's the result of all the research I've done, but it really looks very anomalous in many cases.
Now, one of the reasons why these theories abound, do you think it's because it's very difficult to get great pictures near the sun because it blots things out?
Yes, the sun is a very energetic system, obviously. It's 99.8% the mass of our solar system. All the planets together don't even make 1% the mass of the sun. So it's very energetic. There's a lot of difficulties in analyzing the sun. Even like things that are simple that you think we know about the sun. For instance, its rate of rotation. We have a pretty good idea of its rate of rotation. However, because it is a plasma sphere, there's different rate of rotation around the equator and others, as you go up the latitude. So even something simple as the rate of rotation of the sun, or, many dynamics that we see on the sun, for instance, the missing neutrino issues and so on, have crop up in our physics throughout the years. And observing the sun demands very expensive probes out there that are taking a beating with a lot of solar particle hitting the cameras and the lens, and so there's a lot of artifacts that comes up on these reels, on these videos, on these pictures that are taken of the sun by these probes. So it's very difficult to make a distinction between artifacts that are like particles hitting the lens, or various compression and decompression issues that occur with resolution issue and so on, and genuine unexplainable objects that seem to show up around the sun at times.
So are you saying that what might be going on around the sun could be objects of extraterrestrial origin?
It could be. I believe so. And I'm saying this not really lightly. I mean, it is a question of opinion. However, it is from, not just from observation of the sun over a period of, 15 years that have been, but as well from an intense and deep study in ancient civilization and this thread that one can follow when studying ancient texts and ancient cultures around the world that talks about these advanced beings that seem to have visited our planet thousands and thousands of years ago. I mean, it's in most of the ancient traditions, and that talks about their use of the sun, and their mode of traveling, their power source, looking like a little sun, and so on. And so I think there's something very, very significant there, and I think it's really, at this point in history, it's unveiling very rapidly.
Now, with a physicist with your notoriety, Nassim, you've got to be driving some of the old-line physicists nuts with some of these theories. What do you hear?
Definitely, it's definitely, my opinions there diverge widely from the main views. However, you'd be surprised when you talk to physicists around the world how many physicists, will concede that there most likely is life out there, and that it's not impossible that that advanced civilization out there. I mean, when you look at our evolution, in 150 years, barely, we've gone from horse and buggy to the moon and so on, and we're flying in airplanes and all this. Imagine a civilization out there that has 1,000 years of advanced technological development. They could think of traveling across the galaxy just the way we think of taking a charter plane from here to Australia.
Or even 1,000,000 years ahead of us.
That's
My
right.
gosh.
Yeah, and 1,000,000 years, very good. 1,000,000 years is not much in cosmological time.
No,
I mean,
nothing.
It's a blink of an eye.
Yeah, drop in the bucket.
That's right. And so people with that type of advancements in technology may think of moving across the galaxy, or even from one galaxy to another, or a universe from one universe to another, as something they do casually every day. And so, I think it's really important that we don't limit our minds and our scope by thinking that we must be the most advanced people out there, and that it's not possible for other people to come here because we can't go there. That's not an accurate assessment.
Now, what about this story about Mexican Airlines are being told to avoid certain areas in the air to stay away from UFOs?
Yes, well, in Mexico, there's been a lot of UFO activity, especially since the eclipse of 1990.